Financial decisions seem logical on the surface, but neuroscience reveals something surprising. They're actually 90% emotional. Your brain has evolved specific shortcuts that influence your money choices every day, and understanding them gives you an unfair advantage in building wealth. Think about this. The same brain that helped our predecessors survive in the wild is now making your investment decisions. And while it's brilliant at keeping you alive, it's not optimized for modern financial markets. Most people blame themselves for financial mistakes, thinking, I should have known better, or I need more willpower. But what if I told you these aren't personal failings, but predictable patterns hardwired into your decision-making system? The science of financial decision-making. Neuroscience has transformed our understanding of financial behavior. When you make money decisions, two distinct brain systems compete for control: your emotional limbic system and your rational prefrontal cortex. This isn't just theoretical. Researchers using fMRI scans can literally watch these different brain regions activate during financial choices. When people see potential gains, the pleasure centers light up. When they see potential losses, the fear response activates. Understanding this brain science gives you a tremendous advantage. While others are driven by unconscious impulses, you'll recognize these patterns and make more strategic choices. Let's break down the 5 most powerful money traps your brain falls for and the exact strategies to overcome them. These aren't just theories. They're practical tools you can implement today to make better financial decisions. Loss aversion. Why losses hurt more than gains. Loss aversion is your brain's tendency to feel losses about twice as intensely as equivalent gains. This isn't a design flaw. It's brilliant evolutionary programming that kept your predecessors from taking fatal risks. Picture this. You invest $1,000 and lose $300. That pain is significantly more powerful than the pleasure of gaining $300. This explains why market downturns cause panic selling. Your ancient survival instinct is screaming danger. Let me share a real-world example. During the 2020 market crash, investors who sold at the bottom locked in 30% losses, while those who understood loss aversion and stayed invested saw their portfolios recover and gain within months. The difference wasn't intelligence or information, it was psychological resilience. The solution isn't fighting this instinct, it's redirecting it. Try these 3 specific strategies. First, reframe losses as temporary market discounts. Your brain responds differently to the concept of a discount versus a loss. Second, pre-commit to your investment strategy by writing down your plan before market volatility hits. This creates a psychological anchor that's harder to abandon during emotional moments. Third, limit how often you check your investments. Research shows that investors who check portfolios daily make worse decisions than those who review monthly or quarterly. Present bias, the psychology of immediate gratification. Present bias is your brain's preference for immediate rewards over future benefits, even when waiting would be more valuable. It's why saving for retirement feels less exciting than buying something today. This isn't weakness, it's your brain operating exactly as designed. For our predecessors, immediate resources meant survival, while distant benefits might never materialize. The science behind this is fascinating. When researchers use brain imaging to study financial decisions, they find that thinking about immediate rewards activates the emotional centers of your brain, while thinking about future benefits activates the logical prefrontal cortex. Here's where most financial advice fails. Telling you to just be disciplined ignores how your brain actually works. Instead, try these evidence-based approaches. First, create immediate rewards for future-focused behaviors. Set up automatic transfers to savings, then give yourself small, immediate celebrations when they happen. Second, use visualization techniques. Research shows that people who can vividly imagine their future selves make better long-term financial decisions. Third, try temporal reframing. Instead of thinking, I need to save for 30 years from now, think, I'm setting aside money for my future self this month. This shorter time frame feels more manageable to your present-focused brain. Social comparison, how others influence your finances. Social comparison, measuring yourself against others, is one of the most powerful forces shaping your financial decisions. We're biologically wired to assess our status relative to those around us. This explains why seeing a friend buy a new car can trigger your desire for an upgrade, even when your current vehicle works perfectly fine. Your brain isn't malfunctioning, It's doing exactly what evolution designed it to do. The digital age has supercharged this effect. Social media creates a highlight reel of others' consumption, making exceptional purchases seem normal. Studies show that increased social media use correlates directly with decreased financial satisfaction and increased impulse spending. Instead of trying to eliminate social comparison, which is impossible, redirect it with these strategies. First, curate your comparison group. Intentionally follow people who demonstrate financial values you aspire to, not just consumption habits you envy. Second, practice financial transparency with close friends. Honest conversations about money goals create social accountability for good decisions rather than pressure for bad ones. Third, implement the 72-hour rule for status purchases. When you feel the urge to buy something to keep up, wait 3 days before deciding. This cooling off period allows your rational brain to catch up with your emotional impulse. Mental accounting, why we treat money differently. Mental accounting is your brain's tendency to categorize money differently based on its source or intended purpose, even though objectively all dollars are equal. This explains seemingly irrational behaviors, like splurging with a tax refund, while simultaneously carrying high-interest credit card debt. Your brain has mentally assigned these funds to different accounts with different rules. Consider these common examples. Treating found money differently than earned income. Being willing to drive across town to save $50 on a $100 purchase, but not on a $1,000 purchase. Or holding on to losing investments while selling winners, the disposition effect. Rather than fighting mental accounting, leverage it with these techniques. First, create purposeful mental accounts that serve your goals. Label savings for specific, meaningful purposes. Daughter's education fund rather than savings account. Second, automate transfers between your mental accounts. This bypasses the psychological friction that occurs when you manually move money from spending to saving. Third, use the pain of paying to your advantage. Research shows that physically handling cash creates more psychological friction than digital payments. For discretionary spending, use cash to naturally limit impulsive purchases. 3-step framework for better financial decisions. Now that you understand these psychological traps, let's integrate them into a practical framework for making better financial decisions. This 3-step process works for everything from daily purchases to major investments. Step 1. Recognition. Before making any financial decision, pause and identify which psychological patterns might be influencing you. Ask, am I feeling loss aversion here? Is present bias affecting my thinking? Am I making this choice based on social comparison? This moment of metacognition, thinking about your thinking, creates space between impulse and action. Research shows this simple pause can significantly improve decision quality. Step 2. Reframing. Once you've identified the psychological pattern, consciously reframe the decision. If loss aversion is driving you to sell during a market downturn, reframe it as, this is a temporary discount on assets I believe in long term. If the present bias is making retirement savings feel pointless, reframe it as, each contribution is buying freedom for my future self. Step 3. Restructuring. Finally, create environmental changes that support better decisions. This might mean automating savings, using commitment devices like public goals, or creating decision rules that you follow regardless of your emotional state. The power of this framework is that it doesn't fight your psychology. It works with it. You're not trying to become a perfectly rational decision maker. You're creating systems that account for your natural tendencies. Transform your financial psychology today. Remember, these psychological patterns aren't flaws. They're evolutionary features that served your predecessors perfectly. The key isn't fighting them, but redirecting them to serve your modern financial goals. Which of these psychological patterns do you struggle with most in your financial decisions? Share in the comments below. I read every comment, and your insight helps shape future videos on financial psychology. The most successful investors don't have superior intelligence or information. They have superior self-awareness. They recognize these psychological traps and build systems to navigate around them. In our next video, we'll explore how to develop a healthy money mindset for better investment returns. Hit subscribe so you don't miss it. And remember, the most powerful investment tool isn't a spreadsheet or stock pick. It's understanding the psychology behind your decisions.